Shannon. For this article abstract presentation, I'm covering Thane, Takahashi, and So 2023 on the impact of action planning after entrepreneurship education. My focus is the point where training either turns into behavior or a nice memory. One reason that I picked this study is simple. Training does not usually fail because people did not understand. It fails because the handoff is weak. If the first move is not defined, timing is unclear, and the step is not anchored to a real moment in the day, people drift. What I liked is that the authors treat follow through like something we can support with structure, not something that depends on personality or willpower. That is a very HRD friendly idea because it shifts us from blaming learners to improving design. So the purpose of the study is to test whether action planning after instruction changes three outcomes: entrepreneurial self-efficacy, entrepreneurial intention, and opportunity recognition. They also test the pathway. In other words, does planning improve opportunity recognition directly, or does it work indirectly through self-efficacy and intention? That matters because in training, we often measure attitudes and motivation, but the real question is whether performance-related outcomes actually move. The authors start with attention we all see all the time. Education can raise confidence and interest, yet results will still fall short when people try to apply learning. They separate motivational factors like self-efficacy and intention from volitional factors that focus on execution. In plain language, motivation is wanting to do it, and volition is getting it done when life is loud and your calendar does not care, right? Methodologically, this is a randomized controlled design, which is a strength. Participants completed entrepreneurship education, and then they were assigned either to an action planning condition or a control condition. There were 83 university students at Myanmar. After the intervention, the action planning group had to identify a concrete action and tie it to conditions: what they will do, when and where it will happen, and how they will begin. The control group did not complete that structured plan. They measured self-efficacy and intention before and after, and they assessed opportunity recognition using an opportunity evaluation framework. They also used serial mediation analysis to test direct and indirect effects. Here is where I appreciated the results because they were not a fairy tale. First, action planning increased self-efficacy. To me, that makes practical sense. When the next move is clear, the task feels less overwhelming, so confidence can rise. Second, action planning did not raise intention in the expected positive direction. The direct relationship from planning to intention was actually negative in the model. The authors discuss a reality check effect. Once steps are mapped out, barriers become visible, and people may respond with more caution about what they say they intend to do. Third, opportunity recognition improved in the action planning group. That is the key result for me because it's tied to a performance-related outcome. The model explained a modest amount of variance around R squared of 0.19, which signals meaningful movement without overselling the impact. The nuance is that planning can improve performance even when intention does not rise. That is a useful warning for training evaluation. This slide is here to keep us from going flat, but it also fits the point. Think of action planning like a golden mean. That's where we are in the presentation. If the call to action is too vague, people drift. If it's too rigid or unrealistic, people freeze or avoid it. The sweet spot is just specific enough to make the first move obvious and doable. So I'm not trying to turn this into a philosophy hour. I'm using it as a quick mental image. Specificity is not about pressure. It's about reduction friction. For HRD practice, the most usable shift is to treat the call to action as a planning step that forces specificity. A strong close can require 4 pieces from the learner: what they will do, when it will happen, where it will happen, and how they will start. Those prompts reduce ambiguity and lower the number of decisions the person must make later when workload and interruptions compete for attention. The study also suggests we should be careful with evaluation. Intention can be volatile. A realistic plan can lower intention because it exposes friction points, yet performance can still improve. So we should measure outcomes closer to behavior when possible. And implementation is simple. End with a 1-page planning prompt, then send a follow-up about 1 week later asking what happened, what interfered, and what adjustment they will make next time. So recording is difficult to do this, but I wanted to do a quick check for the group chat. I wanted you to select which call to action you thought would transfer better. Either try to use this at work this week, or tomorrow at 2, after I clear my first email batch, I will draft the first request using the new template for 10 minutes. I'm not grading motivation here. I was checking for specificity. The point is that B has a time, a place, or context, and a clear start. That is the type of planning this study suggests can support follow-through. So where try to use this at work this week is ambiguous and can get lost for the user, B highlights those steps in order to help direct them to success. To close, this study supports a practical message. Action planning as a structured close can strengthen self-efficacy and improve a performance-related outcome even when intention does not increase. For training design, the takeaway is to end with a concrete first step tied to time, place, and a clear way to start. Thank you.